topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. 16 years. Gosh, 16 years, long time doing this show. And what's so amazing is our expert this morning for the next 50 minutes has been with me most of that time. And I got to tell you that he is in a business, the tax relief business, that you've got to be able to trust the people who represent you when it comes to the IRS. And I must tell you, as long as Barry Fowler and I have been doing this show together, I got to tell you, I get nothing but people calling me and complimenting me on his show. And he's just such a good guy, and it means so much to me that I have a company that I believe so much in, because when it comes to the IRS, pretty tough. But guess what? Barry Fowler in Taxation Solutions is much tougher. He is the man. I love when I look at and see who my show is the next day, that Barry Fowler is coming up. I just trust him so much, and he has proven himself that he wants to do this for his clients. And there's so many we're going to get into today. There's so many things that he does that doesn't put a lot of money in his pocket, but he does to educate you. And I can't thank him enough. Man, I'm sucking up today, Barry. I'm really sucking up. No, bro,
I really don't know what to say about all that, Steve. Oh, just thank you.
No, listen, Barry, I've told you, because we get calls from all over the country. Hey, I want to do a show like that. And we do a lot of due diligence. And it's amazing. These big national companies have the worst Google reports. It's amazing. And it's so nice that I can have someone like Barry, whose company stands behind their product. So, yeah, I'm sucking up a little bit, but I'm so glad to do the show with you. We do 2 shows a month, one in the Houston area, and today's show, which we do on a national basis. And then, Barry, you've got your own show that you do on Mondays.
Absolutely. I mean, we have fun. We do Tax Talk for you. Actually, you can go to Tax Talk, the number 4, the letter U.com. You can follow us there. You can follow us on Facebook, but it's every Monday at 10 a.m. And we talk about everything taxes, not just tax relief, not IRS problem resolution, but, we just did a show Monday, and it was on tax planning for 2025 and beyond. If you're in the trucking industry, we did shows on trucker bookkeeping, trucker taxes. We did Trucking 101. We even did, if you've got an IRS problem, you can look at podcasts that we did on IRS problem resolution. I did it 101, 102. We're trying to make it simple, make it easy, break this down into real day life. And, we know a lot of people, you don't have money. Sometimes you want to do it yourself. Well, you need that helping hand to figure out, is this the right way to go? And to that effect, um, okay, I'm giving my wife credit because that's where credit is due. We wrote this thing called IRS Playbook, and you can go to www.irsplaybook.info. Again, www.irsplaybook.info. And you can discover the playbook that I've used and I have taught for many, many years to help get the IRS off your back for good in as little as 3 simple steps. Now, they're simple to us, maybe a little bit more complicated for the layman and people not experienced in dealing with the IRS, but it gives you a good idea of what you're going to have to go through, what you need to do just to get started to fight the IRS and put your tax debt to bed forever, hopefully, and get you out from having to deal with the IRS, out from worried about whether the IRS is going to levy your bank account and take everything you have. And yes, they do that. If you've got business tax problems, get out from worrying about whether they're going to close your business down and take all your business assets, because they've done that as well. People go, really? I said, yeah, it's simple. Go to the Department of Treasury's website and look at the auctions. They're auctioning off businesses, business assets. We've seen in certain states where they even auction off liquor licenses because they're so valuable in those states. So it's just amazing what they do. They even have people's houses for auction there. So, if you're looking for something and you're looking for an auction, hey, you might go to the Department of Treasury and look at the auctions. They do that.
Hey, Barry, I remember the first time you brought up about truckers, and I never thought about that. It's so logical because of their lifestyle. They're always on the road. I mean, they've got they're always away from home. And I thought about that. I went, you never hear these commercials talk about truck drivers. And that is like one of the most obvious areas. And
Well, you
I
got
don't
to
know if
think
you
about
know
it.
that you're the only one who talks about it, Barry.
And, you think about it, you're right. They're never home. It's hard enough when you're dealing with business owners. It's hard enough as a business owner to keep track of everything yourself that you're doing. And so, if you're working as a consultant and you've got a home office, you don't always want to go running into the office and do bookkeeping, or you don't want to prepare for taxes. Now, imagine being a trucker. Your office is on the road with huge loads behind you. You have certain time constraints of how much you can drive, how far you can drive. You've got Big Brother looking over your shoulder all the time, how fast you're going. You got to meet all these rules. You have all these other things you got to do. The last thing you want to do is bookkeeping or taxes. And in that extent, you don't do it. And a lot of these truckers have gotten themselves in trouble. When we started Taxation Solutions Tax Relief way back in 2008, we started out just advertising, and we got a lot of truckers calling us and needing help. Well, the IRS was looking for their truck or had a lien on their truck. Or as one revenue officer told me, she got pleasure out of taking vacation so she could drive down the road and find the truck that she could foreclose on. And because she was looking for the truck for one of the drivers that she was going after. Well, you got to save these guys. These guys are doing a service here for you and I and everybody else. I mean, you can't go to the grocery store without something that was trucked there. You can't go and pick up furniture or go to Walmart and buy something at one of the stores that wasn't trucked in to one of those stores. So who's going to get it there if the truckers are not on the road? And so, we decided, hey, a long time ago, we're going to do a lot of services for truckers and help them. We got them out of tax problems. And then they begged us to help keep them out of tax problems. And so we started a company called Trucker Tax Tools, and you can go to truckertaxtools.com and you can see everything that we offer. We offer complete bookkeeping and tax services for truckers. We do tax planning. We run a tax minimizer for these guys to help reduce their taxes. We use strategic planning, kind of like I talked about on Tax Talk for You on Monday, planning for 2025 and beyond to save money on taxes. Because one of the biggest expenses for business owners is taxes. It's a cash out item right there. And if you can find ways to reduce those taxes, believe me, everybody needs that kind of planning to be able to reduce the taxes so they're paying a little bit less. And so tax relief led into doing the bookkeeping and taxes for truckers. And it's, go to truckertaxtools.com and you can call here at Taxation Solutions. We work together. It's 877-996-6477. Again, it's 877-996-6477. And you can go to truckertaxtools.com. And if you need tax help, it's taxationsolutions.net. Get you that tax relief you need. Call that same number, 877-996-6477. Well, let's get help starting today.
Hey, Barry, I love saving good news to announce on the show so that at least I can get a reaction out of you. About a week and a half ago, I had an attorney contact me who owns one of the largest tax resolution companies in the United States. He heard your show. He was calling up to see if he could get a similar show. Well, the only one we use is Barry. And he said, this is the part I wanted to say. He said, I got to tell you, there's a lot of bad information out there by companies like mine. But the guy that you have, I listened to most of the show, and he is right on. And Barry, I don't think you can get a better compliment than that.
That is a huge compliment. And to that effect, we had one of those big companies reach out and try to buy us. And I told them there wasn't enough money for me to sell out and join them and do business the way they do. I just can't do it. I'm here to be a service to our clients and even those that are not our clients. And to that extent, I've had to tell people, if you want that dream, that pipe dream, that, golden ladder that leads nowhere, sign up with them, pay them their golden fee that they want to do something they can't be done because of, maybe you owe $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million, whatever the amount is, but you've got assets that are going to cover that cost or close to covering that cost, or you have income coming in that shows that you can make payments. Well, you're not going to qualify for an offer in compromise no matter what they tell you. They're not promising and they're not guaranteeing. All they're telling you is possibly. The only thing they're guaranteeing is they're going to take your money. That's really it. And I just couldn't bring myself to go into that, no matter what the dollar amount was that they were offering to get me out of business or to join them and do what I do for them. It just wasn't going to happen. I don't use salespeople here. When you call in, you're going to talk to one of our enrolled agents. You may even most likely get me to where I'm going to sit there and talk to you and tell you the God's honest truth about what you're going to qualify for. And you're not going to sometimes like it. Sometimes you're going to love it. But you're going to know, hey, you're dealing with reality. And we go back to those same 3 simple steps that is in the IRS playbook.info every day on every single phone call. And that's where we start from. We need to get you back to reality, what you can truly do within the rules of the IRS to be able to have it make sense and make it work for you. Now, I might be able to modify things that you do because we do this all the time. We change your financial position so that maybe you qualify a little bit better. We took somebody the other day, they owe $285,000. They have assets in houses. So, we made arrangements to work some of these things out. They had to do some repairs. They took out some more loans on the houses. They're going to be able to keep their houses. On their personal house, they had about $80,000 of equity. We were able to get an appraisal that brought that down, and we turned in an offer of about $60,000 on $280,000. Now, didn't think we were going to possibly get that, but we managed to work with them to be able to get it to the right amount to where they could actually qualify for a really good offer. I mean, saving that kind of money, over $200,000, is well worth whatever you've got to do to get to there. And that's what we try to do, is work within what you have to make it make sense, to make it work within the rules of the IRS. Even when we think maybe at the beginning we couldn't get there, we're still going to work our tail off to get you the best offer or the best solution to your deal as possible. We had to take another person that was owing 120 because of the assets, and we were trying to protect some of the stuff that they did have. We were managed to get them on a partial pay installment agreement. They're paying about $400 a month for the next 6 years. And most of the money is going to fall off in the next couple of years from the statute of limitations running out. It made more sense to put them in a partial pay installment agreement right now than to run them through an offer and compromise, which put them in a different position, would have had to pay a little bit more. But then if they failed anytime in the next 5 years, all that debt would have been flowing back. So we got them out of the problem, just had to use a different solution to get there that benefited them more. So nothing's a cookie cutter approach. No matter what some of these guys are telling you when you call them because you heard them on the radio, you've got to sit down and do the analysis and make it make sense and make it work for each and every individual.
Barry, people tell us how much they love your stories. What is the most money a person owed the IRS that you represented over all these years?
The most money was close to $10 million.
Oh,
yeah. It was a crazy amount. We did put some solutions in place for them, saved them quite a bit of the money that they owed. I think he paid in closer to $2 million of that $10 million.
Wow.
But we were able to help him and get it through there, and actually kept his business for him that the IRS was trying to take. The next biggest one was close to $2 million, and we got the IRS to reconsider an audit that they went through and saved them close to $1.5 million on that. Unfortunately, they weren't willing to do the things that we needed to do. They were in the trucking business, and they had quite a few trucks. Well, they kept hiding trucks that they were selling and trying to avoid things with the IRS. And we finally told them, we can't deal with this. You've got to be completely honest with us and tell us so we can help you. If you come to us and want to hide, lie, cheat, or steal, you're at the wrong place. We expect complete honesty with us, and we're going to help you every way we can. If you're not going to tell us about assets you have or what you're actually doing in your business and the things that you have going on in your business, it's hard for us to work with you and protect you. It's not the way we want to do business. And the IRS expects you to sign those documents with disclosure of your assets and everything else when we're going after an offer or a payment plan or partial pay installment agreement or a non-collectible, they ask you to sign under penalties of perjury. And it's fraud if you lie. We've talked about a guy that we were close to having an offer done. IRS investigated. He had over $1 million of property.
Wow.
And he didn't tell us.
He tried to hide that?
Tried to hide it. We told him, as we tell everybody, IRS is going to find the things you don't think they're going to find. We ask you to give us all your bank accounts. That means every bank account you have. You can't hide a bank account on the IRS. They're going to do their investigation and they're going to find these things. They are the largest, meanest, baddest, worst collection agency in the whole wide world. So what makes you think they don't have the most investigative powers to find the things about you and what you have? So don't try to hide them from us, because you're not going to hide them from the IRS. Help us. We're trying to help you. You've got to try to help us. And just be honest with us. We're going to ask those questions, and look, worst thing we can do is start putting together your financial information, which is on the 433, and we start looking through your bank accounts, because we go through the same thing kind of like the IRS does, but we're looking at what's going on in the activity there, and we see transfers out to other banks. Well, yes, we need those accounts. What was this? Because the IRS is going to ask us. Now, if you're just making random transfers to your children or something like that, well, tell us. Now we got to look at, hey, you can't do that. Those are things that can't be done. You can't hide those things, because the IRS does that same kind of thing. Now they get deeper than we do, because they have powers to be able to look at things that we can't look at. So help us help you. That's really the name of the game.
Hey, Barry, a lot of letters that come in, it's one of the first things they say is, I'm so embarrassed. I'm not a bad person. And, one of the things that you say when we do these shows is the no judgment zone. And we kind of make light of that, but there's a lot of people out there who are afraid, to show you what they've been doing. And I want you to talk to those people, because you're like one of the few people who says, hey, we deal in a no judgment zone. And you don't see the letters that we get to people tell us how embarrassed they are of the situation they're in. And you see this every day. This is the business you're in.
Well, Steve, most people are so embarrassed they don't even open the letters.
Yes.
The letters go right into that little circular file, the trash, that they don't even open them. They don't read them. They don't look at them. They may have at one time, so they know what every letter is coming through is going to be. Hey, you owe us, pay us, and stuff. So, people are so embarrassed that they don't even want to do that part, and they don't even want to pick up the phone and call us until the wife says, hey, man up and deal with this for me. You got to do this. Or the wife calls and says, my husband sticks his head in the sand, isn't going to do this because he's so darn embarrassed and can't talk about it.
Right.
It's not what we want. We want to help you. We don't care what the reason is that got you into this. We may ask so we can help you avoid it in the future. We're going to sit down with you and talk and say, hey, these are the things that we need to do. We need to go through this tax analysis and look at, hey, what are the reasons? Maybe whoever you had that prepared your returns was completely wrong. So a lot of times we see that people that are running businesses, especially like trucking, miss deductions that truckers can get and deserve. And it would have fixed a lot of their tax problem if it would have just been done right. Now, that's not to a fault of yours. You hired somebody and you expected them to do it. Many people never even look at a tax return that somebody prepared for you and didn't know that all of a sudden they put a business on, that all you knew is that you were getting money back and you were happy. You didn't realize that the IRS has you sign those tax returns under penalties of perjury, that you're responsible for the return, not the preparer, but you personally, you, the husband, the wife. Each person that signs on that return is 100% responsible for what's on the return, not the preparer. All we said is we got paid to do this. So you need somebody that's going to take the time and the due diligence. So maybe that's where your problem came in. That's not a fault of yours. The fault of yours is that, hey, you didn't understand it. Somebody didn't explain it. They just said, hey, sign this form, which a lot of places give you 1-page form to sign. And it says, here's what your refund is, or here's what your tax is that you owe. You sign it and you move on. Maybe you didn't see that you needed to make the payment in, and it was a mistake. I don't care. We're here to help you. There's no judgment. We're not going to embarrass you and say, well, you were stupid. No. Things happen. Life happens. Tax happens. Now, how do we go about putting the solution in place that takes the stress off of your family, your wife, yourself, the stress that you put on your kids because this is hanging over your head, that you get worried that the IRS is going to levy your bank account on Friday and you can't make your mortgage payment, you can't pay your utilities, you can't pay for your car, whatever it may be. That's maybe one of your neighbors is going to find out that you have an IRS problem and it becomes embarrassment. Maybe you think talking about it and getting help is beneath you. No, getting help is where you get the relief. The relief knowing that somebody else has taken on the burden. That Taxation Solutions Tax Relief has taken the burden completely off of you, except for helping us provide information and gather information and do things together to make your life easier and give you that relief and let you sleep at night. Better yet, let your wife sleep at night,
Yeah.
your significant other. Because I'm going to tell you what, if my wife isn't sleeping at night, I'm not sleeping at night. Okay. And I can almost guarantee you in every household, it's the same thing. You know, if there's stress in the family, it affects everybody, including the dogs. You know, they feel it, you feel it, everybody feels it. And when you get that relief, I mean, I can hear it in their voice as soon as they
Yes.
know that I've taken it over. They become relaxed. It's like, oh, wow, okay, somebody's dealing with this. Somebody's helping us through this. Oh, you've got a hold put on here for this levy that they were going to do. So we don't have to worry about that right now. No, let's get the information. Let's go forward. Let's put a solution in place. You know, maybe it's a temporary installment agreement. Why we get the bigger solution in place. Maybe it's a non-collectible status. Maybe it's a longer hold. Maybe it's, hey, we can rush this and get that offer sitting out there pending so that the IRS can't do anything, so that we find different ways to get tax relief. You know, and it's, hey, you moving quickly to help us moving quickly to get it in place. You know, we just got done dealing with a company that they've run businesses and they've had preparers that have just been terrible for them. They have messed every single thing up. We got things fixed for them. They still owed quite a bit of money. And in the meantime, last minute, they didn't tell us they sold their business, but they came into a whole bunch of cash. And they're like, well, can we settle this for this? No, the IRS is going to want all of this. And so, you know, we were able to work with them. They did a few other things to make things work. And now we put in a sizable offer on about a $2 million tax debt, but they are going to save close to $1.2 million if the IRS accepts the offer. We think it's going to be closer to that $1 million range, maybe about 1.1. maybe 900,000 they'll save, somewhere in there, but they're still going to save a good chunk of change that they could never, ever afford to pay back, um, with interest and penalties and everything else that's going to continue to accrue. And it gives them some relief. And that's what the name of the game is getting that relief, saving that money, making your life easier. And sometimes we've even had to explain to people is, hey, maybe if your wife retires or stops working, now you're in a position to make an offer. Let's get the offer in. You owe close to $250,000. She's not going to make $250,000 over the next 4 years, and not enough to where you're going to say, why should she work just to pay the IRS when, hey, she stops? We can submit an offer, get the offer accepted within the next year or so, and maybe quicker, depending on how fast the IRS works. And then she can go back out and get another job, and now you guys are making money. So short-term pain, long-term gain. And that's sometimes the name of the game. We got to make things work. We got to work for you. We got to make it the best. And we got to have the right solution to solve your tax problem. And there's no better way to get started than calling us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Come to the no judgment zone. Come to the tax help zone. Let's get you relief, tax relief in place as soon as possible.
Hey, Barry, here's a text from Jupiter, Florida. That's my part of the country. His question is, I know I owe a lot of money to the IRS. I have not been contacted. When is the best time to contact you? Should I wait till I'm contacted by them or get ahead of it? That's a good question.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, get ahead of it. What we're going to do is bring you in when you call us at 877-996-6477. We're going to do a free consultation. We're going to set you up to do a complete tax analysis, figure out exactly what the problem is, come up with some solutions. And now we've got time to put the right solution in place, maybe design some things with you, change some things in the way you're doing business or working, make things work. Maybe it's just delaying so that the statute of limitations run out. And we've been known to do that as well. We just did this with a family, kind of funny story. This goes to tell you how bad the IRS is. This couple owed about $120,000. They actually had the wherewithal to do it. House was free and clear, making okay money. They borrowed the $120,000 on their house and paid the IRS off because there was no way we were going to delay anything else and stuff. And the time period and the money they were making, the IRS wanted money. Well, they sent all the money to the IRS. Their mortgage company was supposed to do it directly and pay off all the liens and everything else. So they sent the money by year to the IRS. The IRS processed them, cashed them, took the liens off of everything, turned around, and they owed about 8 different years. For 6 of the years, they turned around and sent them the money back.
Wow.
Scratched my head over that. Thought, well, maybe the mortgage company did pay. And, we went back in, did tax analysis, and come to find out that the IRS absolutely screwed up. So we told the clients, hold the money until, for 3 or 6 months and let us look back into it and figure it out. Well, in the meantime, they had AC problems, they had roof problems, all the money got spent. Well, they're back owing all this money to the IRS. Well, the good news is the IRS took those years that they refunded the money. Those years were closest where the CSETs were going to run out. Statute of limitations. Well, they have no money anymore. They don't have equity in their house. right now because of the loan on the house. Don't have enough to make payments. So they're sitting, waiting for the statutes, which will run out. Statutes will run out on $70,000 this November, and they'll be free and clear of the $70,000 that the IRS basically refunded and they used to improve their house. How about those apples? Do you think
Wow. That
quality people that were really thinking and looking at this, working for the IRS?
no way.
No. Do we
No.
care? No. We could care less. But, we had a client that was in that position. It all ends up working out for them in their best interest. And we've already seen, 10,000 go away this month. So it was really, really nice for them and make it work.
Barry, tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. I would think if I was an IRS agent and somebody called to try to work this out themselves, I am chopping at the bit with this person. But if Taxation Solution contacts them in behalf of this client, you know just as much, if not more, than the IRS agent.
Well,
I would think,
if
God,
you're an
I'm going to get a
individual,
better deal with Taxation Solutions. Just the fact that the agent knows that the company representing me knows what's going on.
well, I'll be honest, these guys will try to take advantage of anybody, including people like me. They try.
You're kidding.
No,
I'm
because
shocked.
what's their job? Their job is to collect money and get the most money
Yeah.
possible. Had an IRS agent just yesterday morning. I called in for a client that has a installment agreement. They're guaranteed to get an installment agreement. We knew what the installment agreement amount should be. We knew what the client can afford to pay. And we called the IRS, and the IRS goes, okay, well, I'm going to put you on a 5-minute hold while we look into everything, which they do consistently. Comes back on, he goes, okay, you want an installment agreement. The installment agreement will be $1,250 and some odd cents or whatever a month. Scratched my head and I went, no, this installment agreement should be $800. And they're like, no, Mr. Fowler, you're wrong. It's got to be this amount. And I went, no, go in, recalculate. We have this time period to go through and do it. This is what the installment agreement will be. And this is what we will agree to and nothing more. And we don't need management approval either because it's low enough to where you can just go in and do it. They actually huffed at me. He goes, well, I'll put you on a brief hold about 5 minutes and I'll be back. Let me see what I can do. They came back on the line and went, no, the best we can get is 1,000. I said, I'll tell you what, put your notes in, send me over to manager so that I can work this out with the manager because this is the dollar amount that we need to be at. And this is the dollar amount they qualify for based on every single rule in the IRM. And if you'd like me to outline it for you, I will. Guy paused for a second and went, it's okay. I can get it set up. So you wanted to explain to me what the difference is between the 1,200, the 1,000, and the 800 that I wanted? The difference is the amount that he wanted to collect right then and there from the client, from the taxpayer, because he felt like he could get it. And the more they get in, I think the better they look at the IRS. I don't know that they
over $400, Barry. I mean, yeah. Over $400. Unbelievable.
It was just crazy. Now, if I was a taxpayer and I called in and I had the ability to pay the $1,200, or I thought maybe I could do it, if it would avoided a lien or avoided a levy or avoided something else, I'd agree to it, right? Now, that means a month or two down the road, I'm going to end up breaking that installment agreement because I can't afford to make the payments. And then it makes it tougher to get an installment agreement back in place. And that's the problem with somebody dealing with the IRS. Or the IRS is going to tell you and ask you, how much do you have in the bank account today? And you tell them. And then, okay, well, we need that today as initial down payment. Okay, you think you have to do it. No, you don't have to do it. You know, we can set up an installment agreement without having an initial down payment. Matter of fact, you know, the installment agreement, the other one I set up the other day, the first payment isn't going to be until November because we were able to set it out far enough. Now, we did agree to pay the $43 setup fee next month, but the installment agreement isn't going to be starting until, you know, out until November. And then they'll go from there. Another one we worked on was a partial pay installment agreement, and it's actually stepped because we needed to give them time to reset some things in their life to make things work. So, you know, we're paying $100 a month for the next 12 months is what they're going to do. And then they're stepping up to $250 from there till the statutes run out. Now, their savings is quite a bit. They're going to save close to $80,000 by doing that. But it works for them to be able to reset, get that car payment out of the way so that they can afford to pay the extra $150 a month. You know, they're going to be strapped a little bit on this 100, but when it comes to the 250, they'll be able to do it. Now, it just means, hey, they're not going out and buying coffee every other day. The wife has to give up a couple of things during the month. The husband has to give up his coffee on the way to work. And hey, you can make things work. Sometimes it gets a little tighter. You don't have to like it all the time, but saving that kind of money is well worth it because, you know, how long is it going to take you to actually save, you know, $80,000? You know, and if the IRS is going to give you $80,000 by the statutes running out and by you paying just a little bit, it sure seems like that's a lot worth it. Could they have done an offering compromise? No. They had other things that we were protecting for them.
Barry, one of the things, kind of many things I've learned from you, and I never thought about it before. A friend of mine did one of those online do-it-yourself taxes. And they advertise that, you know, if you get called up by the IRS, that they'll be right there with you. Well, that's not true. But you told me something that I think people should know, that when they sign for that, it's not that company that's responsible. It's still you that's responsible. I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when they do say that we're going to represent you, they're going to take what you provide to them to represent you with the IRS. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. I mean, it's you at the end of the day that's responsible for everything in that tax return. And those online tax services and online taxes that are do it yourself, or they say, oh, come to us and, you know, we'll beat your other preparers' fees, or we'll do it for free, or this or that. It's still you responsible at the end of the day, even if you're going to represent you supposedly in the audit. I've seen a lot of times where they go, well, you know, there's nothing we can do on this.
Or they don't return phone calls.
They don't, they don't return the phone call. And then you're stuck. Or they say, yeah, we're going to help you. And then they basically do nothing and you get the results of the audit. And now you owe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 because they didn't do a very good job representation. Have a lady that called overnight, and we've got 24-hour answering service on our phones as well, so that we can get the information, talk to her first thing this morning. Poor lady. She got audited. She used one of those companies. Unfortunately, she never got the IRS letter of the audit. She finally got because she moved, she finally got the IRS results of the audit when they gave her new address with this year's tax return, and she owes close to $60,000 from the audit. Well, what representation did she get? She got none.
Right.
What else did she get? Well, she followed directions from these people that were working for this online company and did a tax return. Well, come to find out, the person that she was working with told her absolutely wrong. She didn't know who she was dealing with. She just took their word for it. At the end of the day, she's responsible. She owes that kind of money. Now, are we going to be able to get her out of it? Well, we're going to set her up for tax analysis this morning, and we're going to get copies of the audit. We're going to get copies of the tax return. We're going to get copies of support, and then determine what we can do from there. That's sometimes the way things have to work, and we try to work with you and find the best results. Now, hey, it may stop at tax analysis because we may determine there's nothing that can be done, that the IRS was completely right. Or it may go back to an audit reconsideration where we can get the IRS to reconsider the audit because she didn't give any information. She didn't provide any support. She had no knowledge of it, and get the IRS to accept the return or a modified version of the return that it would be correct, depending on what we find out, and save her a ton of money. But hey, that's where it starts. That's where determination. And that's where it really is always key every year, is making sure you're using the right tax preparation service. There is. I mean, if you got rental houses, W-2, RMDs, 401ks, IRAs, anything you're doing, brokerage, all that stuff, small business, you really should have somebody that's on your side working for you to help you save money and start working tax planning. This one big beautiful bill has so many opportunities in it for tax planning that you need somebody that's going to help guide you through this and be smart about it. And we do that at Taxation Solutions Tax Relief. You can go to taxationsolutions.net and call us at 877-996-6477, and we can work for you and help you.
Barry, your show is on Mondays at 10 o'clock Central Time, right?
10 a.m. Eastern Time. You go to W4CY Radio. You can go to Tax Talk, the number 4, letter U.com, taxtalk4u.com. You can follow us over there. You can follow us on Facebook. Same with Taxation Solutions Tax Relief. You can see us on Facebook. You can go to taxationsolutions.net. We broadcast our show across all those platforms, and then it's hosted on all the podcast sites like iHeart, Spotify, Speaker, you name it, it's out there. And then if you are a trucker, owner, or operator, you can find us at truckertaxtools.com. That's our website. Or join us if you're thinking about getting out into trucking. Nice plug for OIDA, Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association, puts on a great Truck to Success seminar late October, around the 22nd. I'll be there speaking about bookkeeping, taxes, tax relief, and business entities. So come join us up there in Blue Springs, and I'll be up there talking, and maybe I'll even get Steve-O to broadcast an Ask the Experts show right there.
Oh, that would be incredible, Barry. That would be incredible. I love that. Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions. Barry will be back again with us next month. We do a local Houston show and we do a national show like today.
Yes, I'll be back with Ask the Experts a couple times next month. You froze there for a second.
Yes. Barry, thank you so much. I love the banner, and I love that we can help people against that big bad IRS. Thanks a lot, Barry.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, I always appreciate being on here with Ask the Experts. Anytime you want to do this, we'll be available for helping people across the board. Everybody out there, man, have a God bless, glorious day. Get the IRS off your back.
Yes.
Have a great Labor Day coming up, and we'll see you on Ask the Experts.
Love you, bro. That's Barry Fowler. Taxation Solutions. If you've got a friend anywhere in the country, Barry can help them. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Rebel. You always do such great work. We'll see you again next week with more Ask the Experts. Everybody have a wonderful holiday. See you soon.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.